So we got the floor press bench. Now, I like this for two reasons. One, I work with a lot of fighters, so we work a lot in that anterior chain motion, right? So we're punching a lot. So our shoulders, our triceps are getting a lot of work. The main thing that we want to do is we want to put them in the best position to be successful. So with this, it allows us to still produce a lot of force from a given position that is conducive to the sport. So when you are doing jiu-jitsu or you're on the ground fighting, you don't have the ability to bring your elbows all the way back, right? You have to be strong in this plane of motion with this minimal amount of range. So this will help us drive more force into either the bar or to an opponent. And then also it keeps our bodies safe, right? Another thing with the bench is you can use leg drive. I don't recommend it half the time. If you're gonna do a real floor press, you wouldn't use leg drive. But for this, you can use it to maintain some stability and to work full body as you go to press up. So I'm actually gonna squeeze the bench with my inner thighs, squeeze my glutes, lock in, drive, and then make sure that I'm having a strict bar path to get the stimulus response that we're looking for. So I'll set up, very simple. And this has a lot of attachments. I like that we have the plates here that we can push into it. So the pins, if we want to do any static overcome by dynamic, we want to do any yielding isometrics, we want to do any overcoming isometrics, we can do that. So take the bar, very simple. Again, set up just like a regular bench. Grab the bar tight, bring it down, lock the lats in place, make sure the knuckles are facing the ceiling. We're gonna come straight down and then punch. Now, again, we have the pins here. So if I wanted to rest it at a certain range, I could do that too as well. And then again, we can work on those mini maxes, whether we are stuck at the lockout, we're stuck right off the chest, we can keep that going. And then from there, I could do what's called contrast sets. So I can go maximal force and then get off of this and go right into an explosive power movement to create that response of power and explosiveness. For fighters, for athletes, even for powerlifters, it's really good. So definitely like this machine. So a lot of times with a lot of athletes, they neglect the internal rotators, they neglect the adductors, and usually you'll see groin injuries happen. So what we want to do is we want to strengthen up those muscles. We want to strengthen up the adductors, the deep internal rotators. So what I like to do is I like to do isometrics to help encapsulate and strengthen up the muscles that actually help with that rotation and that movement. So what I'm going to do here is what's called a 90-90 Copenhagen, and we're going to go ahead and stay in this position and breathe through this position. The goal here is to strengthen up those muscles like we talked about, and then also allow for your body to know where it's stable and strong from. So this is good for gait mechanics. This is also good for cutting and change of direction drills. All right, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to take a box. You're going to go in a 90-degree position on the leg here. Go into that Copenhagen where your elbow is right underneath your shoulder blade. Then I'm going to bring my knee up. So I'm going to go ahead, drive it into midline, and then I'm going to make sure that I'm squeezing and I'm not letting it drop. So everything is turned on here, and I'm driving my knee into the box. From here, I'm going to go ahead and reach. So I'm using that oblique sling. I'm driving the obliques, and I'm driving the adductor. So I'm turning this on into rotation. Then I'm going to go ahead and take a breath in, blow out, and crunch forward and get that rotation. As you can see, I'm shaking here because it is pretty intense. Good. Okay, so usually it'd be about 5 to 6 full breaths in and out. You want to do 2 to 3 sets on each leg. So this is called a kettlebell hip shift. Now we'll do this directly after our Copenhagens. This again, another activation technique, another pre-rehab type of deal, prehab deal. I don't really like that term, but it makes sense, right, when we're trying to work on this motion. Now the goal for this, you got a lot of people that shift out of the squat, right? They usually do that hip shift. It's because we need to make sure, there's a couple of things, but we also need to make sure that your adductors are strong. So what we're gonna do is the hip shift. So all I'm gonna do is take a kettlebell. I'm gonna go ahead and get a hinge position. My other leg is gonna be straight so I can put all the load on my glute medius and then maintain position with my adductor and keep my oblique on. So now I'm rotating through that midline. Then from there, I'm gonna shift my weight over and then switch my hands up. So now you have your QL firing, your external obliques, your internal obliques, your glute medius on this side, and then I'm maintaining this position where my knee's in line with my big toe. I shift to the other side, shift, shift. Almost like a skater would as they go to do their motion, right? A lot of hockey players love doing this before they go on the ice. Again, I like doing this to just turn on those muscles and activate the things that we need to activate in order to squat, in order to move, change direction, right? Then on top of that, it gives you more of a coordination component too as well. So I'm tying it in. I'm going with the glute med. I'm maintaining position. Adductors turned on so my knee doesn't flare out. And then my obliques turn on. It's really good for gait mechanics, increasing that response of reducing the risk of groin injuries, and then also, getting you ready to run, sprint, change direction, all of that.